So I decided I was going to push as hard as I could to be a musician and win at it. The reason why it became such a big deal back then is ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself.
While Prince was pushing back against labels, someone else was thriving in that same system. Diddy, his label, Bad Boy Records, became a powerhouse, signing huge artists like Biggie and Mace. Yet, Diddy's practices were sometimes called out for being just as controlling as the big labels Prince fought so hard against. Prince believed musicians should own their work and have full control over their creativity, not just be treated like products. But the industry wasn't set up that way. Stick around, because this story reveals a side of Prince and the industry that not everyone knows about.
On December 31st, 1999, my publishing contract with Warner Chappell expired, thus emancipating the name I was given before birth, Prince, from all long-term restrictive documents.
Prince, the legendary musician, was known for his powerful music and unique style, but there was another side to him that not everyone knew. He was a fierce advocate for artists' rights, always speaking out against what he saw as unfair treatment by the music industry. To him, music wasn't just about fame or success. It was a deeply personal form of art that deserved protection. Throughout his career, Prince felt that record labels treated artists like disposable products, profiting from their talent without offering them true ownership of their work. His fight against the industry was both public and private. He believed that musicians should have the final say over their music and should benefit financially from their work. But back in the 80s and 90s, the music industry didn't work that way. Labels held most of the power, and artists often found themselves locked into contracts that limited their creative freedom. Prince's disagreements with his record label, Warner Brothers, became a defining part of his career as he pushed back on these restrictions and demanded change.
And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. And that's kind of the situation we're in right today. They're not going to exist.
When Prince first joined Warner Brothers in 1977, he was a fresh, young talent, just 18 years old. He was incredibly ambitious and determined to create music that was entirely his own. Warner Brothers saw potential in him, signing him on and hoping he'd bring fresh energy to the music scene. The early years of his career went smoothly, with Prince delivering unique, groundbreaking albums. But as he gained popularity, things got complicated. Prince quickly became aware that his relationship with Warner Brothers wasn't entirely in his favor. The contract gave Warner control over much of his music, meaning they owned the rights to his songs and could make money off them long after he finished recording. As Prince started creating bigger hits, he began to feel the effects of this control. His most popular songs, which defined his career, were now technically owned by the label. In the beginning, Prince saw Warner as a supportive partner, but as he gained a deeper understanding of the industry, he realized he was losing control over his own work. His frustration grew, particularly when he saw other artists facing similar problems. By the time his music was reaching top charts and he'd established himself as an icon, he wanted to change the deal, but found it wasn't so simple.
Like Mariah Carey just had this big $20 million. That's like a huge deal, right?
So you feeling that?
No, well, what I mean, I don't understand.
In the early 1990s, Prince took a bold stand against Warner Brothers by publicly protesting the label's control over his work. One of his most iconic statements during this time was writing the word slave on his face. Prince felt that his contract was restrictive, treating him more like a product than a creator. He viewed himself as a slave to the contract, unable to release music on his terms or own the rights to his songs. Prince's protest went even further when he changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol, refusing to be called Prince, as long as Warner controlled that name.
I will now go back to using my name instead of the symbol I adopted as a means to free myself from all undesirable relationships.
But while Prince was rejecting the traditional label system, Diddy was building a powerhouse within it. Diddy's label, Bad Boy Records, became one of the most influential in the industry. His business practices were often criticized for being similar to the very industry exploitation Prince fought against. Diddy's label signed many artists, including big names like the notorious B.I.G., Mace, and Mario Winans. However, his approach to contracts and royalties was viewed as problematic by some of these artists, with accusations of unfair payments and restrictive contracts contracts surfacing over time. For instance, several artists claimed that Diddy held onto the rights to their music, limiting their ability to profit from their own work. This situation mirrored Prince's struggles with Warner Brothers, where the label profited from artists' creations while offering them little in return. The connections between Prince and Diddy are interesting, especially because they represent two opposing viewpoints in the music industry. At one point, Prince even lent his house to Diddy for a party, a gathering that became famous for its exclusivity and wildness. The party, filled with celebrities like Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher, and Tyrese, was notorious for its freak-off atmosphere, a type of over-the-top event where anything could happen. However, Prince chose not to attend the event himself, which fueled speculation about his true feelings toward Diddy. Some believe that Prince distanced himself from Diddy's events because he suspected unethical practices. At Diddy's parties, guests were not allowed to bring their own security, which was unusual and raised some eyebrows. Prince's decision to stay away may have been his silent protest against what he saw as exploitative or inappropriate behavior. In interviews, Prince spoke about staying true to one's beliefs and not conforming to industry norms, even if that meant going against what was popular.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings.
Diddy's fame and fortune represented the exact type of corporate, profit-driven mentality Prince didn't want to be associated with. Prince wasn't trying to make enemies, but his actions often showed he had little tolerance for anyone who he thought took advantage of their power or position. Another point of tension that fans speculate on is the fact that Prince never collaborated with Diddy. Despite Diddy's influence in hip-hop and R&B, and Prince's connections with artists from various genres, they never worked together. For Prince, collaboration was about aligning with someone who shared similar values, and Diddy's business style didn't align with the respect Prince sought for artists' rights. Prince wanted to work with those who valued creativity over profit, while Diddy's focus seemed to be on commercial success, which sometimes came at the expense of the artist. In 2016, a dispute arose between Prince's estate and Jay-Z's streaming service, Tidal, highlighting the challenges of managing an artist's legacy. Tidal had put 15 of Prince's albums on its platform, sparking a lawsuit from Prince's estate. The estate claimed Tidal only had rights to stream one album, Hit and Run, for a limited time, not Prince's entire catalog. This unauthorized distribution was seen by the estate as a violation of Prince's wishes, as he had been very particular about where and how his music was shared. The estate's lawsuit suggested that Tidal and Jay-Z's Roc Nation backdated agreements to make it seem like they had the right to release Prince's work, which added a layer of controversy to the case. This situation was ironic because Prince had initially trusted Jay-Z, believing that he would respect artists' rights more than traditional labels. Unfortunately, this trust seemed to be misplaced, as the estate felt Tidal was exploiting Prince's catalog. Throughout his career, Prince didn't shy away from warning others about the darker side of the music industry. He frequently spoke out about how record labels often took advantage of artists, profiting immensely while leaving the artists with minimal control over their own work. Prince encouraged both his fans and fellow musicians to look carefully at the music industry's power dynamics and to demand change. He was vocal in interviews, on stage, and even in award shows, using every opportunity to raise awareness about these issues.
What I've been doing recently is studying the scriptures as deep as I can, so that that's what gives me the optimism. And I would advise anybody, if you want to feel like there's some hope in this joint, I mean, pick up the book and read it and get somebody to actually show you what's going on in it, because it's a real thing.
In Prince's later years, he had managed to regain control over some of his work and continued creating music on his terms. But his life took a tragic turn in 2016 when he was found dead at his estate in Minnesota. The official report stated that Prince died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl, a potent opioid. However, his sudden death raised a lot of questions, especially given Prince's famously healthy lifestyle. He was a vegan, didn't drink alcohol, and had never been known to abuse drugs, making the circumstances of his death suspicious to many. In the weeks leading up to his death, there were signs that something wasn't right. Prince had reportedly canceled shows and even made an emergency landing on a flight due to a health scare.
And we are coming on the air right now with the breaking news that the pioneering musician Prince has died at the age of 57.
Developments tonight in another investigation into the death of a music legend and whether Prince had a doctor on stage during that last performance at his house. This was his last public performance right here at his concert in Atlanta after several cancellations because he was reportedly ill. It was after that concert the emergency plane landed. ABC's Eva Pilgrim with new reporting tonight and witnesses who said he gave a shout out.
Despite these incidents, there was no sign he was receiving consistent medical care. Fans and conspiracy theorists alike began questioning the official story, especially when considering his battle against powerful industry forces. Some believed that his outspoken fight for artist rights and control over his music might have made him a target. Prince had a song called "Let's Go Crazy" with the lyrics, "Don't let the elevator bring us down," a reference that became eerie when he was found in an elevator. Prince had once told a friend that the elevator is the devil, which made fans wonder if there was more to his death than met the eye. Like Prince, Kanye West has been vocal about artist rights, ownership, and the need for musicians to have more control over their work. Kanye famously criticized record labels, even comparing them to modern slave ships that trap artists in restrictive contracts. He took to social media to call out these practices, using his platform to advocate for transparency and fair treatment. Kanye's admiration for Prince became evident in his career choices. He took inspiration from Prince's battle for creative freedom, even attempting to buy back his own masters from major labels. Kanye's defiance and willingness to speak out drew comparisons to Prince's fight with Warner Brothers. Prince had once given Kanye the song "Jail" as a nod to Kanye's rebellious approach, symbolizing a shared struggle between the two artists. So what are your thoughts on Diddy's role in all this? Do you think Prince's fight changed the industry? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this story as fascinating as we did, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future videos.